Hello, I'm attorney Dan Marr from the Nashua law firm of Hamlin and Kerrigan here in New Hampshire, and I'm going to be talking today about the difference between revocable trusts and irrevocable trusts in the state of New Hampshire. Now, I've been practicing law here in New Hampshire for approximately 36 years and in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for 28 years, licensed in both states, practiced in both states. I'm going to be focusing in on New Hampshire this time as far as the difference between just a simple discussion of the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust. In New Hampshire, we're allowed to have both, and let's first talk about revocable trusts. Some people have actually had a case in Massachusetts, strangely enough, where we were dealing with a revocable trust, and a retired judge who didn't do much in estate planning said that they thought the revocable trusts were silly because they were revocable, so they weren't meaningful. And they are extremely meaningful. The revocable trust is a very useful tool for estate planning, and what you do for one of the main reasons you do a revocable trust is you have a will and a revocable trust, and you try to put everything you can when you create the revocable trust into the trust, but you control that just like you would with your will. As long as you're mentally competent and you're alive, you can make changes to that. That's why it's revocable. But when you are no longer competent or you're no longer alive and you die, then it becomes irrevocable, and the new trustee, you're the trustee during your lifetime because you make all the decisions on it. But when you can't make those decisions anymore and you die, usually you have provisions as to, okay, here's how my assets are going to be divided up. One of the circumstances you might have is you might want to make sure that you avoid probate, or you minimize the probate assets so that the trustees, the successor trustee, can immediately get access to those assets and provide them to the children with minimal attorney fee costs and time wait for the courts. And that works a lot, makes a lot of sense, and that's a key issue. But then another one, when you have minor children, you don't want to give your children all your assets when they turn 18 or shortly thereafter. You don't want to have a situation where you could do a far more damage to a child than giving him anything, than giving them hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of dollars. And hundreds of thousands is fairly common in most people's estates now, but a revocable trust, you'll divide that up over time, and you have some discretion with somebody you trust to make the distributions, and you might have outright distributions. Your estate planning attorney can help you out as to maybe at 30, 35, and 40 or other periods of time you're giving chunks of money to that person in time, and that gives them an opportunity to save some of it, but also use perhaps in the younger years for their house and maybe others for their foundation financial security, and that makes a lot of sense. So that's really good reasons for a revocable trust, and you usually have a will that says, hey, whatever I forgot about pours over, that goes to the estate, pours over into my trust. So it's called a pour over provision of a trust, and that makes perfect sense. Sometimes irrevocable trusts make sense. They made more sense when the federal estate tax level in New Hampshire was really high, and there's still reasons for the irrevocable trust, but basically sometimes people would want, if their corporation was going to be growing, they wanted to have maybe 1% of it of the shares of the stock staying in their name, and they voted on it, and they take 99% of it and they put it into a irrevocable trust, so they're avoiding some estate planning later on when the growth happens in that stock over a period of time. When the company grows, it transfers over to the beneficiaries without significant estate tax purposes. So that could be the reason. Less so now when they've changed the limits on the federal estate tax, but also irrevocable trusts are for Medicaid planning, and that's a situation where you want to avoid having all your assets go to a nursing home. There's a lot of discussions to have with your estate planning attorney in regards to that. One of the things that you want to consider in regards to that is irrevocable means irrevocable. I was myself and another very good estate planning attorney were replacement trustees for some trustees of an irrevocable trust that the grantor tried to change it, and it was called decanting, and there's a whole set of rules in regards to that, and it's very difficult to do a decanting, meaning change your decision when you have it irrevocable. You make the decision, you put assets into an irrevocable trust, then you want to change it later on, you got difficulties with that. So you want to think about that carefully. And then for Medicaid planning, I can tell you some of the experiences of private pay assisted living can be a lot better than the Medicaid wing of a nursing home. So you want to think carefully about that. You may be in a nursing home and not have the cognitive ability to even realize what's going on, but there's still some quality of life issues there. But then also you might be in a nursing home because of some ambulatory issues, and you know what's going on, and you want the quality of life. It's your money. You should be spending it, is my take on regards to it, and your relatives should take after you've spent what you deserve. So those are some of the questions you should consider as far as irrevocable trust for Medicaid planning. If you have any questions in regards to this, you can contact our firm. You can contact me at 603-883-5501, Dan Marr at 603-883-5501. Our estate planning team, I do a lot of the litigation in regards to this, but our estate planning team, I can put you in touch with excellent attorneys here at the firm. And you can check out my vlogs too at my bio at NashvilleLaw.com. That's NashvilleLaw, all one word, .com. And you can look at my bio, and I have a lot of vlogs on a variety of topics. Look forward to working with you if the opportunity arises. Thank you.